Can we talk about Tucker Carlson? Because the breakup between he and the president has now reached another level. Let's watch what Tucker said on his show yesterday.
It's not enough to say, well, I changed my mind, or like, oh, this is bad, I'm out. It's like in very small ways, but in real ways, you and me and millions of people like us are the reason this is happening right now. We'll be tormented by it for a long time. I will be. And I want to say I'm sorry for misleading people. It was not intentional. That's all I'll say.
He's talking about his support for President Trump, which he effectively is saying he regrets.
Yeah, I mean, it's an interesting turnabout from the Republican National Convention when he was a primetime speaker and delivered like a 45-minute off-the-cuff, again, no notes, just about how this was the greatest option that anybody and any voter could want. And he has a very significant following that is vigorous in their support for him, and that support overlapped pretty directly with President Trump during the campaign. And I think Trump campaign officials would acknowledge that that certainly wasn't hurtful in any way, shape, or form. That was only helpful. I think the big question that I've had throughout kind of the splits through various parts of the MAGA universe, sometimes they can be overstated, sometimes we try and read too much into them, but on Tucker Carlson specifically is the number of times they've kind of toggled back and forth between, I'm kind of out of the circle now. No, now I'm back in it. And then all of a sudden he shows up at the White House for an oil executive event and is standing right next to him.
There like 5 days before the war started.
And so like I don't necessarily read that much into it because for whatever reason, whatever he says publicly, he can still eventually get the president on the phone. I think the biggest question right now is the frustration that Josh was alluding to nationally with the war. The frustration for younger voters who the idea, many of them very shaped by the experiences in Iraq and Afghanistan, thinking we were lied to or we were misled. And what the kind of, I guess, durability of that frustration or disappointment will be coming into electoral seasons ahead.
I think
do you think he's wrestling with his conscience?
I think that Tucker had plenty of time to untorment himself between January 6, 2021 and Election Day of 2024. He had plenty of time to torment himself and say, I give up on this man. Instead, he embraced him. He helped propel him to this historic election win. I think that Tucker can't, by being sorry now, run away or rewrite history.
Nor can I. To do with his election, in my opinion. I mean, Trump is like a singularly talented campaigner who made it through all these historic, like chaotic periods, disasters, and you know, Kamala Harris made Trump president. Joe Biden made Trump president. Tucker's acting as if like he went out and he gave the endorsement and that rallied all these people. Like this guy was going to win anyway. It had nothing to do with him.
Maybe so, but yes. Tucker did absolutely boost Trump. He did absolutely support Trump, and he did it despite, we know, privately saying totally different things. And to Geraldo's point, back in these text messages that were released in the Dominion defamation lawsuit, here's what Tucker said back around that time. Trump has a pretty low success rate in his business ventures, is what his producer says. He says, that's for sure. All of them fail. What he's good at is destroying things. He's the undisputed world champion of that. Tucker then says, we are very close to being able to ignore Trump most nights. I truly can't wait. I hate him passionately. Another Tucker message. That's the last 4 years. We're all pretending we've got a lot to show for it, but admitting what a disaster it's been is too tough to digest. But come on, this isn't really an upside to Trump. Right. This is somebody who has profited off of talking out of both sides of his mouth. So, I mean, no surprise that today he is crying some, whatever.
Right, and you got to get a lot of apologists and things like that, but the consequences are real. And again, if you look in our district, we have 55,000 units of housing that are necessary. Half of our kids are in poverty. We are actually struggling because of the decisions, the policies, and the programs that this administration has pushed. And there has been nothing to actually adequately address that. And so the fact that he's failing in the polls is because this administration is failing. It's failing to actually protect our country. Nobody feels more safe in the United States of America after 7 weeks of a disastrous war that we're having in Iran. We are living the consequences of an election that I God wish we had won, but the consequences are really impacting everyday working class folks, not those who are politicos and talking heads and things like that the most. Is really impacting people and a day-to-day life.
Scott Jennings, when he was talking there to his brother, the former GOP Trump speechwriter, Buckley Carlson, what do you say to that?
I mean, is his preference that Kamala Harris had become the president of the United States? That will come as a surprise to, I'm sure, a lot of people who used to view Tucker Carlson as a conservative and someone who, had certain kinds of values. And what's he sorry for? That we got into an engagement here that might ultimately lead to taking away nuclear weapons?
We got into an engagement, Scott. That is quite a way to put it.
From Iran? I mean,
we started a war.
I mean, is he now claiming he had no idea that Donald Trump held the position that he would never permit Iran to have nuclear weapons? If that's what he's saying today, he's kind of a moron. I mean, I don't know how else to put it. Or he's willfully misleading people. The president was clear. He'll never let them have nuclear weapons. We just saw on 60 Minutes on Sunday night a broad agreement among the experts. They have 970 pounds of enriched uranium, enough to make 10 or 11 nuclear bombs. This is not acceptable to the president. He had that position back in 2024. He had that position back in the first term. He has that position today. To say now that you're sorry that you elected a president that wanted to take away nuclear weapons from this terrorist regime, I don't get it.
Tucker Carlson was also at the White House as recently as, I think, February. I mean, a few weeks ago. So
The New York Times reported he was on the phone with President Trump in the lead up to all of this.
Yeah, I mean, so I'm not gonna go so far as to agree with Scott by any
It'd be the best possible PR thing you could do.
But
right
I am gonna say that the idea that we're gonna take Tucker Carlson at face value on this, I'm not somebody personally who is going to listen to Tucker Carlson say these things and feel like he has had a genuine change of heart. I think there's all sorts of personal ambitions at play here. We can set that aside. But I will say it is problematic for Trump's coalition, and more importantly, even outside of the pod sphere, real Americans, actual voters, including Republican voters, are frustrated by this war. They don't understand why we're in it. We're continuing to see what we've seen play out today is, Donald Trump had his vice president teed up on the tarmac to go and negotiate and then had to pull him back. Just as a general rule, if you were trying to project strength and you have your arms around the situation, having to pull your vice president back from traveling to the negotiations, not a great signal. So I think in addition to the fact that gas prices, oil prices, airplane tickets are going up, Trump is also eroding on this sense that he is strong and in control. So politically, hugely problematic for him.
So the president has called Tucker a low IQ person because he is extremely upset with how he's reacting. My group chat is people either being like, the grift is strong, or this reflects an actual sentiment. Where are we on the spectrum?
Oh my goodness! I mean, laugh out loud. Look, he's been upset before. After January 6th, he was, a demonic force. He said all sorts, but they came crawling back. I suspect
Charlie, did you just say crawling?
He'll come back home because look, these guys have monetized. They're making a lot of money off of this stuff, and I can't imagine he's going to have a real permanent rupture with Trump because he'll probably lose market share and audience. He'll be back.
Tamara, I got to ask, you're a podcaster. What's the situation here with what he's doing?
Yeah, I just can't imagine that he is going to find market share in the, Trump apostate space. That's a pretty crowded space at this point. So it's not clear to me what is happening, but a lot of people who listen to Tucker Carlson did say no forever wars. They really bought into that, and now here he is.
But Tucker Carlson used all of his platforms for many years, amplifying right-wing extreme hate, bigotry, racism, and anything else. So certainly we do not take his commentary serious. And I think what the America First crowd is figuring out that there's no interest like self-interest when it comes to Donald Trump. He is not a principled man. He does not have a core, and now they're figuring it out. But don't look for them to embrace the Democrats.
You'll be able to be on Tucker's show apparently, but with his comments.